Good morning. Welcome to Score Values on 670 The Score. I'm Adam Stasinski. Coming up on this week's show, we talk with a local group which helps parents learn the dangers associated with social media platforms so they can better protect their children from predators, plus a further discussion on women working in the sports industry. The Me Too movement gained momentum in recent years and, among other victories, has been making significant strides in protecting women from harassment in the workplace. The pervasive circulation of inappropriate materials targeted towards children continues to increase on well-known platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and also some various gaming platforms. That's where we bring in Tania Haigh. She's founder and CEO of the Kids Too movement. Kids Too is an effort to help parents understand some of the dangers of social media and predators which prowl there. Tania, thanks so much for the time today. I first want to ask you about your background and what led you to start the Kids Too movement.
Yes, hi. Thanks so much for having me. So my background, is definitely more business driven, I would say. I've been in the marketing field for over 20 years. I called McDonald's Corporation my work home for a decade. And from there, I've launched businesses. I'm a full-blown entrepreneur. I've also been always very aligned with supporting causes since I can remember. I've been very involved from a civic perspective. So since my journey of my corporate chapter and moving into entrepreneurship land, it's given me a lot of latitude to make even larger contributions to my community. One is here in my hometown of Oak Park, and I've done so much more beyond what we're talking about today. But let's just say one learning learning opportunity on the journey has always led to something else that's been unexpected, but always so much greater and so much more meaningful to me. So that's a little bit about my background. And what drove me to start the Kids Too movement was it's from the work that I do leading a nonprofit organization called Parents Against Child Sex Abuse, or PACSA for short, kind of a mouthful. We're in the 5th year of that organization, clearly tackling one of the hardest topics out there, and really in the spirit of galvanizing parents to know what to do when it comes to that. So in our involvement in the child protection space, we've been working alongside other organizations to raise awareness about the dangers of social media for children. A lot of folks don't know out there that social media, especially through COVID and the pandemic, has really blown the doors open to bring more visibility to others out there exploiting children through social media or using it ways to reach children in a way that's not cool. And so given that I'm a parent myself and being part of these larger child protection conversations, we wanted a hashtag that was going to really open up the eyes of all parents and people who care about the well-being of children. So we kind of built off this hashtag Me Too movement, and we're calling it hashtag Kids Too. And that's taken a little life of its own and brought us this amazing opportunity to now have a broader nonprofit umbrella name called Kids Too, while PACSA is still part of that.
Well, that's great, and this is something that I can see where the need for this kind of organization came from. Because I think back to when I was growing up and the internet was really starting to take off, and there was a real lack of oversight in some of the things that me and my friends were able to get into that our parents just didn't really understand. And so it seems as if, I'm glad to see that there's something like this out there, because I think about the things that I got into, and, it was nothing super crazy, but some of the things that me and my friends were able to get into that I think I would never let my 10-year-old get into that kind of thing now.
Yes, absolutely. And my 10-year-old comes to me on a daily basis reporting to me what's happening at school. What are they seeing on TikTok? How are they able to do a workaround on their Google, the Google Classroom and the apps that they have available just to learn, and how they find ways to work around or Google or get to YouTube. And YouTube has just been this place. If everyone remembers how YouTube started and why YouTube is YouTube, it's consumer-generated content, right? So it's YouTube. You're the one uploading. People are uploading. And now it's become this behemoth money-making machine through ads and ad spend, and these platforms really monetizing it. But it's a lot of unfiltered information, no matter how much these platforms are doing. And you're right. When we were growing up, I don't want to date myself too much. I mean, I had to just try to listen to music where maybe there were some lyrics that were inappropriate, and maybe my mom's from a different country. I would confuse her a little bit about what they were saying and convince her that. I convinced her that it's just the beat. I really didn't care about the lyrics, and that was musically driven. But now there's just stuff coming out of technology pores that our children have access to because they get iPads at school. And whether you're an ethnic parent, like my parents were from different countries, or just a busy mom of four, how on earth is a parent supposed to keep up with all these platforms and knowing all these traps and these ins and outs? But most of the time, parents aren't as well versed on these platforms. I have a marketing and digital background, so my daughter's growing up knowing that a mom's really savvy with using the tools. I was an early adopter. I had to. It was part of my career journey, and working for a large global brand and now working with other brands. You have to stay on top of the platforms. But yeah, there aren't a lot of safety measures right now, and we're working a little bit on policy at the federal level with other organizations, not to get too political on you, but bottom line is, these platforms have been around for 2 decades. They cannot have enough content moderators. For those of you who know about social media and how it works behind the scenes, they have folks, at their computers monitoring content. If you're reporting something inappropriate, there's never going to be enough manpower, Adam, to get into the weeds of all of this. So what we're really trying to do is, hey, parents, while some of these platforms saying, oh, parents have a choice and we monitor, we decide what's best for our kids, we're also just trying to get parents to pay attention with really, really basic things that we can get into and just be more in the know about how some pretty creepy people out there posing out there as children to just connect with our kids and be friendly. And next thing you know, they're exchanging some terrible images, and then it's stuck on the internet forever.
Oh yeah, it's the dangers out there are just it's really insane. So we're speaking with Tania Haigh. She's CEO and founder of Kids 2 here on Score Values on 670 The Score. Tania, what type of resources does Kids 2 make available to parents who are looking to better protect their kids online?
Yes, so we created a resource that's for free. A parent can go to kids2.org, KIDSTOO.org, to sign up for an email to request the free resource. And we put together this thorough, what we're calling watch out lists for parents. That's not just social media handles like TikTok, but some of the other ones like Omegle, WhatsApp, like through the different ways that predators can reach our kids. Roblox, oh my goodness, Roblox is just another one that sounds all fun and games, but unless you shut down that chat feature, that is a key way that random people, your kid and you do not know, are getting to our kids. They're just trying to keep it friendly, keep it easy. Next thing you know, they're asking, where do you live? I mean, they don't waste any time to work through those questions to get to a kid. So wow. That's how a parent can get there. Now, we're going to continue to develop more resources. And the reason Kids 2 is a little bit more broader than the other organization, PAXA, is we're going to continue to stay nimble, Adam, and we want to address parent needs, child safety concerns as they come. But we are really here to tell parents, I'm here to tell parents, like, hey, you have a voice and our children need you.
So, Tania, I'm curious about, as you're providing education to these parents on these various things about, providing them, I guess, just education on various terms that kids might be using even in chats, or that people might be using towards children in their chats. Because I think back, again, to when I was growing up, and we had, just little things like LOL, acronyms that stand for things. But there were also ones I knew about that, hey, it's an acronym for a parent standing over my shoulder. So just stuff like that. So I'm curious if there's any kind of education towards, little things like that.
Oh, yes. Thanks for bringing that up. So we do have a video that we produced called Drop the Emojis. The dangers of social media are real for children, where we have in that video some emojis that sex traffickers use to communicate to one another through social media handles. So what's happening right now, Adam, not to get too dark or too intense, but what I want to let everybody know, including you, is that a lot of folks are posting pictures of their kids, or they're giving kids the opportunity to post everything about themselves or overshare a lot of images. And these folks out there who don't have the best intentions communicate to each other like stringing together different emojis that have different connotations, or the different fruits or vegetables denote body parts. Like there's a lot out there that that's, I love emojis. I'm emoji queen. And so I was heartbroken when I was like, what, they're being used by, sex traffickers and these terrible people.
Oh,
but, just to kind of have parents have their eyes open around, some of these cues and, but I love your suggestion on some of these acronyms. I think they continue to evolve so quickly. So parents like us just are kind of out of, out of the loop.
Yes, yeah, of course, and it just keeps changing, unfortunately. So
it just keeps changing.
So if let's say a parent wants to approach their child about internet safety, and I think about my sister has 3 young children. So how do you begin that conversation about telling them how to be safe when they're using these games online?
Okay, great question. So one of the first things that we start out with parents when we're talking about approaching tough topics or tricky topics like this one is, depending on the age, because obviously the span of ages is huge, whether it's a 7-year-old or a tween or a teen, you have to meet them where they are. And also, we always recommend just being very calm and friendly in the approach versus militant and yanking the iPad, limiting and blocking, because it's part of their daily lives now. The iPhone, connecting with their friends, it's their hub of communication with their friends. When I was growing up, it was that long cord in the kitchen where I was, trying to not have my parents listen to what I was saying. Now it's all through Zooming apps and then for them to correspond. So I think it's our duty as parents, we drive the conversation. If we show our kids that we're confident about the topic that we're bringing forward, we're the ones in charge. So we always like to empower parents. And as you can tell, I'm a pretty passionate individual.
Of course.
Like we as parents own that responsibility, and just approaching your kid about, hey, there are some real creeps out there that are trying to get to kids. And if you see, if someone's asking you for your name, don't give your name out, don't give your address. If someone flashes a picture of you that scares you, it's inappropriate. You didn't do it to mom and dad. So the minute we can help kids frame, like, here's what you might see, and then come show mom and dad, that way the kid knows they're not the guilty ones. They didn't do anything bad. They just happen to be the recipient of some terrible photo. So it's, if someone's asked, kind of lay it out for them. If someone asks you to take a picture of yourself or your body part, whatever it is, come tell mom and dad. And then that's where we can respond. So really it has to do with meeting the kids where they are. And then there are also a lot of tools out there for parents to monitor. So if there's a software called Bark, where they can help monitor and filter some of those social media plugins. There's definitely some resources. One that we love to just monitor and limit screen time is this big box that you lock and you put a timer on it. So, just like there are these little hacks as parents that we can do to just try to keep our kids safe, and then always keep that conversation going. My kids bringing me stuff all the time. Even Pinterest has creeps. So we're like, there's another one. Thanks for telling me.
Yeah,
you know?
it's unfortunate. It's just it's stuff that just seems to pop up everywhere. So
Everywhere.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on there. Maybe setting limits for online use. So that it seems like that can be another tool. Just setting limits for the amount of time that your children are spending online.
Absolutely. Setting limits is everything. Okay. So from this box that I told you about that locks it up, because these kids can't help themselves. If you think about us and our usage of our phones and our technology, these kids get so hooked because these games, they just want to keep you in the game, keep putting more money. You don't want to start over with the game. So there are all these like tricky manipulations that as adults we would be like, okay, that's enough. Okay. It's time to go eat dinner. But kids get so hooked and engaged, and then it ropes in their friends. So there's like a friend element to all of this that just keeps them connected. So the limits, we've had to do this as parents ourselves. So I promise I am practicing what we preach at home. And we are, the limits, no technology in the room at nighttime. So if that needs to be in a lockbox, it's just nothing stays in the room. Even if it's used as an alarm clock, don't do that. Just take the iPhone, take the iPad, put it in the box, out of the kids' room at nighttime. And then sometimes what we'll do is, so we know what our kid is watching, we'll have her project whatever YouTube TV show she's watching onto our TV, kind of like old school, like let's all watch TV in the living room, but it's through the iPad on YouTube and we're watching and everyone feels good about it. So we've got, these different hacks, limit the time frame. It definitely helps keep our kids' health and safe.
We're speaking with Tania Haigh. She's CEO and founder of Kids2. Tania, I want to make sure to ask you, what is the best way for parents or really anyone that wants to get involved with Kids2?
Great. Thank you. We are really looking to hear from you all. Parents, we want to hear from you, whether you want to support our organization through a donation. If you want to join us on the cause, please, we welcome you contacting us through the website. We have social media channels across the board. If you have an idea, we really look at our parent community that we want to grow and build over time, Adam, as our eyes and ears of what's happening in their respective communities. So we just heard from a parent group in Ohio. They're really concerned about an issue. We collaborate from a grassroots level to empower parents and give them the tools and resources, because Kids2 is just one of many organizations that have really devoted their time and energy to protect children. But our particular focus is really elevating parents to recognize you don't have to numb out. You don't only have to rely on what the school district is telling you. There's a lot of information for you to be more of a parent ninja. And also next month is Child Abuse Prevention Month, which is April every year. And for folks to stay in touch with us, sign up on our email newsletters, et cetera. We have a lot of great activity coming next month.
I also wanted to ask you, you mentioned a group you were trying to work with in Ohio there. So how wide-reaching has Kids2 been? I know that you're from the Chicagoland area, but how far have you seen this reach as far as parents getting involved with Kids2?
Right. So, yes, we are Chicagoland based, but our platform is very digitally focused for a reason, because we know we've learned in the 5 years of doing our work around parents and child protection that parents want to reach us at their convenience. They might be tired. They might be Googling a concern. So we hear from parents around the country. I just referenced Ohio. We had this concerned grandma contact us from Idaho. So we've really been trying to build our digital reach and amplification to connect with parents. So we've dabbled in person, et cetera. So we would consider ourselves definitely reaching parents from a national perspective as well.
And, of course, since you are trying to really be digital here, and I want to make sure that you plug any like social media platforms that Kids2 has. Of course, the hashtag Kids2, but do you have any like Twitter handles or Facebook groups or anything like that?
Absolutely. So you can find most of our handles, because sometimes, they vary. It's KIDSTOOMVMT, which represents Kids2 Movement. Mm-hmm. And we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. So those are our core right now. We've got plans to expand into some of the other fun ones so we can be in the game, so to speak, like TikTok. But basically, yes, find your channel of choice, and most likely we are on it.
Great. So, Tania, that's pretty much all I have for you. Is there anything else that you would like to add that I didn't touch on?
No, I just want to say, hey, parents, we've got your back, and we also want to hear from you and that you have the power to protect children. And thanks for your time.
That's Tania Haigh, CEO and founder of Kids 2.